Let me tell you something, and you better listen close because in all my years, I've never seen silence land like a fist and rewrite the rules of the room. Yeah, I'm talking about what happened to Alexis Monroe. You might think you know the story. Maybe you caught a headline or a viral video cop punches black woman in a packed courtroom, but what you saw on camera was just the spark, not the wildfire that followed. The truth is, justice has never arrived wrapped in a press release, and on that day, it came in wearing a plain gray suit, took a punch, and never blinked. The morning started tense courtrooms always hum with a kind of static when a cop's on the stand, especially one like Brent Lasker. You know the type. White guy, square jaw, badge shining, speaks with that clipped authority that makes people sit straighter. Every bench was full, the air brittle with anticipation. But in the back row, there she was, skin like deep matte bronze, hair pinned, so tight you'd think it was armor, gray suit swallowing the light. Alexis didn't move, didn't cough, didn't so much as blink unless it was deliberate. The only thing that moved was her pen, cutting lines of red across her pad, never blue, never black. People talk about presence, you know what I mean? That gravity that makes a room lean toward you even if you're silent. That was Alexis. Brent spotted her. Couldn't stop looking. At first, he tried to shrug it off, probably figured she was a paralegal, a clerk, maybe some pencil pusher auditing the proceedings. But you could see it in the way he shifted, his testimony getting slippery, timelines fuzzier, words like agitated and non-compliant piling up. Alexis never flinched. She underlined, circled, drew a line, paused just long enough to make a man sweat. And Brent? He unraveled. His voice started to crack, hands fidgeted, the collar grew, tight classic tells, even if you've never sat a day in law school. Then came the cross. The lead attorney barely stepped aside before Alexis walked forward, quiet as the tide. No flittisch, just inevitability. Her voice, soft, precise. Mr. Lasker, you testified the suspect's hands were visible and empty, correct? Brent nodded, eager, desperate to take control. Alexis didn't let him. Then can you clarify what object you referred to in your depositiona metallic item allegedly in their grip? Boom. The room froze, ice water down the spine. Brent sputtered, backpedaled, tried to explain it away, stress, adrenaline. Maybe he remembered wrong. She cut him down, not with volume, but with the kind of scalpel questions that leave you bleeding before you realize you've been cut. Let me back up a sec because that was the moment the old rules broke. You could feel the courtroom stopped breathing. Alexis didn't shout. She didn't call him a liar. She just exposed the lie, layer by layer, until Brent's whole case collapsed in on itself. And you could see it in his eyes, panic, resentment, then something meaner. Who the hell do you think you are? He hissed, stepping up, finger in her face. You know what happened next? No warning, no shout, just a wide, ugly punch, thrown out of instinct or pride, or maybe years of thinking he could get away with it. His fist cracked across her cheek, blood blooming instantly, a red signature on gray. But here's what sticks with me. While stick with anyone who watched that day she didn't fall. She didn't even flinch twice. She turned back to face him, eyes like X-rays, and stared. Not with anger, not with fear, just with this clarity that said, I see you. And that was worse than any punch. Silence screamed through the courtroom. Nobody moved. Not the judge, not the bailiff, not even Brent's fellow officers. His dominance? Gone. His story? Shattered. Then Alexis spoke just a line. Do you remember McGill v. City of Atlanta? Brent froze. That case was the reason for the SAFE Act, a law meant to keep force out of courtrooms unless absolutely necessary, and everyone knew it. She placed a folded paper on the stand, section 14. Bright as a warning flare ran for the first time. Brent looked afraid. The gavel came down, agents swept in, and Brent Lasker, badge and all, was read his rights for assault and abuse of power, right there, in the room he thought protected him. You think this room makes you untouchable? Alexis told him, voice so soft it chilled the air. It doesn't. The agents cuffed him, no drama, just ceremony, as if justice had been waiting patiently for this handoff. Brent tried to protest, but even his outrage had gone hollow. His authority? Revoked. His name? Erased. He left the courtroom not as a man in charge, but as a warning. But the story didn't end with his arrest. The federal agents opened up files, years of complaints, cases closed, evidence lost, kids beaten, mothers silenced. Each record, a match dropped into the room. Brent's voice echoed from the hallway protocol, rules I was told to control. But the truth was there for everyone to see. No protocol justifies blood on the sidewalk from children who never held a weapon. Alexis took the center of the room. Justice does not live in silence. It lives in the records we bury. And with that, the tide turned. Her name was revealed Deputy Director of Federal Enforcement Systems Oversight. The courtroom didn't erupt. It shifted like a new axis had been found. Alexis didn't gloat. She just sat, letting the silence do what words never could. Her calm presence had become architecture, not performance. And outside that day, the world kept spinning, but inside, something fundamental had moved. The SAFE Act was no longer a ceremonial clause. It was a living mandate. Departments nationwide scrambled. Policies were rewritten, training overhauled. Brent's name hit the blacklists, not as a suspension, but as a deletion. Even in isolation, his world shrank. No visitors, no allies, just rejection after rejection, his identity peeling away like old paint. The only thing left was Alexis's silence, her words, her stare, her refusal to be drawn into a performance. Justice didn't need a spokesperson. It just needed to be present. Years passed. Alexis declined awards, turned down interviews, refused the spotlight. But her legend grew not because she spoke, but because she didn't have to. Law schools started teaching the Monroe Clause. Officers whispered, "Monroe's people are watching," before giving testimony. A mural went up in Detroit, a woman in black, back turned, placing a book on stone. No words, just memory. The culture of silence that had protected men like Brent Lasker began to crack, not with outrage, but with a new kind of discipline, one built on restraint, presence, and a certainty that someone, somewhere, would always be watching. In the end, Alexis didn't need to flinch, didn't need to scream. The ripple of her silence remade the system in its image. Justice, after all, is not what you do when the cameras are on. It's who you are when they're off. And as long as rooms remember the weight of that stare, the story won't end. Now let me ask you, if you were in that room, if you were wearing the badge or just watching from the gallery, would you have stood with her, or would you have let the silence do all the work? What does justice mean to you? Noise, or the quiet that follows when someone finally refuses to fall? Share your thoughts below, because if this story taught us anything, it's that justice gets stronger every time someone dares to speak or dares to stay silent at exactly the right moment.